everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting in another episode of Cash or Trash. And yes, we're doing this on a Sunday. Imagine that. Factors conspired to let me actually do this on a Sunday. Tom got his video out early for him here lately, and then by mid-Sunday afternoon, and then had a couple people have to cancel on D&D, so we didn't play D&D tonight. So we're going to crank through this. We got 18 books to talk about. Let's get to this chat real quick. Say hello to everyone that stopped in before we get to the thing. The dog is going to make noise. Unruly was tailgating. I don't know if he'll be back or not, but appreciate him tailgating. GT Key, always in the house early. John, supposedly busy, but yes, he was third. I don't know if he'll make it back either. Blue Collar Dan, what is up? Mr. Randman, yeah, you can contact me on Facebook if I know you're going to, but otherwise I ignore it. So, hopefully you can find me. You should be able to tell what I look like when you look at the pictures. John, what is happening? It's finally the most long time. Well, I'm glad you made it tonight. Mr. W. Snyder, let's all make that would do it. That would do it. I did my little rant on AI last night on the whatever report, and apparently my dog is going to get... Come on, Bubba. I don't have to kick you out. Be quiet. You're okay. You're okay. Yeah, I did a little rant about AI the other night, or last night on whatever report. Kenny, what is happening? Yeah, well, because it's dumb. He did. He got out at a reasonable time this time. Sorry, Gordon. Had a person that had plans, had a person that was sick, we had a couple things going on, so it just didn't happen tonight. Jay Carter made it live. Yes, you did. Kendall Kid, what is happening? Basilisk, what is up? Black Knight is in here. What is happening, everyone? So if you're not familiar, you may have to wait a moment because I'm going to have to kick the dog out because we'll see. We'll see what he does here. Maybe he's going to calm down finally. So this is Cash or Trash. On Saturdays, I always put out a look back video where we look back at the hottest comics 6 months ago and see how they're doing in the market since, how they performed once we got away from whatever made them hot. And so, yeah, we do that on a 6 month after the fact basis to see what's going on in the market. This is Cash or Trash, where we look at the hot comics of this past week and we make predictions sure to go wrong by, throwing them into categories, and we're making predictions for that 6 month look back show. Hey, Phil, what is going on? Sequential Geek, what is up? You're going to have to. She's losing. Gordon's talking about, I have a poll up on my community tab for the next episode of Let's Collect. It's going to be a character from the Teen Titans. Go vote. So, Dre, what is going on? What up? So, yeah. So, we got 18 books to talk about, but what do we do with these books? We throw them into categories, and my categories are... Straight cash, homie, books that I expect to continue. These are books we expect to continue to go up over the next 6 months. Most of the time when we talk about a straight cash book, though, what we're really talking about is a book that even if you buy in now, long-term, you're going to be fine. So a book may be like an I'll be back or trap short-term because of whatever factors make it hit the list, but it's going to be straight cash long-term. And I cannot think because the dog is going nuts. So I apologize. I will be right back. Okay, sorry. He got a treat, so don't feel too bad for him because he got a treat to trick him out of the room, and then I just shut the door. And then he had a bonus treat out there waiting for him, so he's fine. But I would prefer to keep him in. Hey, here remains. I did not get the Nakayama one. The only one I bought was the Belen Ortega one. I like her style, and I really like that cover. So I think they're gonna happen. I did not get the cover A. I got I think it's like a cover C or D. I don't remember. Go vote. She's losing. You gotta go vote. Starfire caught up almost. Yeah, he's a sucker for a treat. Really, that's what it was. I threw a treat in the doorway. He walked out and got it. And then there was another treat down the hall by his bed, and he walked down there and got it. So yeah, don't hate my dog. I love my dog. So you're not. He was just. I was having a hard time like thinking. So yeah, we were going through our categories. So yeah, we talked about three casts. Worth it. These are books that are priced in the right range. Usually, like if you buy in at this price range, you're gonna do okay in 6 months. It's probably you may not make anything, but you're probably not gonna lose anything. It's where we go with worth it. I'll be X. Flip side of that coin, it's not priced too crazy, but if you're patient, you can probably find a deal. Traps. These are books that are going to drop 30, 40, 50%. These are books that are well overpriced because of whatever news is going on at the moment, whether it be option news or movie news or just it's just a new book that everybody's chasing but doesn't really have sustainability. Then last but not least, we got our dumpster fires, and these are books that are way, way overpriced. These are books usually that we're chasing for reasons that don't make sense. So a lot of these are really, come on, man. It's like, what are we even thinking? And then our last category that will occasionally throw something in is a book that hits the list, usually the key collector Comic Tom list, because there's a lot of sales, but it's not really moving in value. You can still basically get bought in for cover. So yeah, it's whatever. You can buy it. It's no big deal. So there you go. So those are most of our categories that we talk about generally. Yeah, that was the one. Yes, the Ortega. So the poll, if you go to the community tab on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my channel, there's a community tab. You can only access the community tab on your phone or on your computer. For some reason, it doesn't show up on like the iPad. I don't know why. Vote early, vote often. There you go. The Nakayama was nice too, but I limited myself to one, and I like the Ortega one the most. So there you go. Hey, Fritzies, what's going on? Oh, that First Miles newsstand. We'll see if they get it. They can ask whatever they want. That's the thing you got to always remember. People can go on eBay and you see people asking something. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. Most of the time, they're not. That's why the book sits there. So, yeah, they can ask whatever they want. We'll see if they can get that for a newsstand. I would be stunned. If somebody pays that much for a newsstand 9.8, they're dumb. Because they realize they're rare, but they ain't that rare. So, but that's just me. All right, so those are our categories. Let's dig into this. We got 18 books to talk about. First up, we got a book from last week. This was on the list last week. Oh my God, for the gods. There you go. This is on the list from last week, and it is Coyotes #1. Oh, I got my discussion here all buried. There we go. Now I can see. Coyotes #1 from 2017. Although last week we talked about this book, this week we're actually talking about the second print. So second print is supposedly hard to find. The reason both the first print and now the second print have hit this list is because Jordan Peele and Selena Gomez are co-producing this for Amazon. First print was going for 15 to 20. The second print is going for 40 right now. And I, like this guy, I'm not a big fan of second prints. So, but I put this really in the same category as what's going to happen to the first print is probably what's going to happen to this. And it's an option news book, which means it's going to be an I'll be back, if not a trap. I almost lean trap on this one, but because it's probably pretty hard to find, we'll say I'll be back. It's liable to sustain a little longer because it's a little bit harder to find. But yeah, I would come back for this one for sure. Let's see what we got. Outrageous Ass are just cattywampus way of saying, look what I got. Yeah, basically. Thank you, Blue Collar Dan. Yeah, I can get that. So, but anyway, this is optioned. Nothing's going to happen with it anytime soon. It's an I'll be back. Come back later, and maybe even a trap, just because. Then, and there's always a strong possibility that it never gets made, and gets lost in the Amazon shuffle, because lots of things do. So, yeah, it's definitely an I'll be back, potentially a trap. Next, Nimona #1. So this is coming to Netflix, supposedly, because none of those ever get lost before they get there. Happens all the time. Now, this is not a traditional comic. This is a graphic novel. I guess this was a web comic. And initially, this is from the Lumberjanes writer or creators. And TJ is not wrong. TJ is not wrong. And I would even argue, even with a different cover, it's really still just like a print with a different cover. But I mean, still just, yeah. But yeah, this is a trade. This is a graphic novel. It's the only way you can get this. They published it online, and then they collected it into a graphic novel. This is being made into supposedly a Netflix movie. 10 to 22 is what Tom listed it as. Yeah, come back later. This is another one. Only because the low end goes all the way down to 10 do I say I'll be back in that trap. But yeah, we'll see if this ever happens. How many things have we heard have been optioned by Netflix that we've never seen the light of day? Nemo things. Nemo, yeah. Brian Griffin Tumblr. Maybe it was on Tumblr. I don't know. Oh, or maybe I'm missing something, or maybe there's a joke there that I'm missing now that I think about it. Brian Griffin. That would be like a Family Guy. So okay. So yeah, come back later. It's option news. It's always the case. Next, we got Something Is Killing the Children, #1. So not exactly sure why this is re-hitting the list. This has fallen all the way down to a $500-$600 book for 9.8. This has been optioned for a long time. I couldn't find any new news here. They are getting ready to start a new arc. They just wrapped up an arc. They're getting ready to start a new arc in the comics. 31's getting ready to come out. But this had dropped all the way down to like a $600 book. It's now back up to for an $800 for 9.8. I think this is still, though, and I'll be back. It's shown before that it couldn't sustain these $800 to $1,000 prices that it was at previously. Now, obviously, if we get news on the show, we get casting or something, then this is probably going to go back to around $1,000 book. But I would guess you're going to have opportunities to get this for less than $800 before that happens. Yeah. So another Amazon show. Yeah. Because, yeah, there's a ton of them. Yes, Pepper Farms. It was red hot. It was definitely red hot at one point. So is that the news? I didn't find. I tried to look because they didn't say on CBSI He Who Remains, and I went and just Googled if there was something going on, look for new news articles or anything. And I didn't find it. So if you're saying, so that would be why. So news has bumped it up, which makes it even stronger for me that it's an I'll be back. Because if it's for sure news, then yeah, then come back later. Anytime there's news, you come back later. It's still a great book. Yeah, it's still a great book. See, just because I put something as a reminder, just because I call something a trap, just because I call something a dumpster fire, doesn't mean the book itself isn't really good or isn't valuable. It's just not as valuable as it's selling for right at the moment. So, yeah, this is a great book, and I love the series. And yeah, I have a copy, not of the A cover, but I have a copy of #1. Thanks to this guy, thanks, sir. But yeah, someday, just you keep looking, you'll find one. He's saying news was like a month ago. Okay. Well, either way, I still think this is an I'll be back. Next, we're moving into covers. We got an art germ hitting the list. Art germ has actually had kind of disappeared for a while. Hadn't had many covers on lists. And I don't know that it'll have many, but I've seen several of his newer covers that are coming over the next couple of months. And I'm all like, wow, I actually like these a lot more than I've liked any of his stuff recently. So this was not one of them I knew about, but this is Street Fighter 6 #1. This is the Art Germ Virgin variant, limited to 400. Obviously picking the character from Street Fighter that people, at least the female character, more so than even Cammy, that people love. Raw copies of this are going for 120 right now. Okay, so it was back in April. Okay. There's something is killing children's been slow for a while now. It's been slow. There's been delays constantly. Not like Last Ronin delays, but delays. Heart Fonder. maybe that's it. So anyway, 120 for this one, limited to 400, but I still think it's an all be back. I like, you can make an argument, but do I think this is going to be a cover that's going to be valuable? Do I think it's like an $80 to $100 cover? Probably, maybe 60 to 80 on the low end, which definitely makes it a trap at that point. But I don't know that it sustains this. I think it's a really nice cover, but I don't think it's that nice. Yeah, that would be great. I'm waiting for that myself. Yeah, too much money. Maybe that would be nice. Because he's got a Harley one that's coming that's really nice, and he's got what was the other one? A Wonder Woman one I really like that's coming, and there was something else. There was like 3 of them I remember seeing that were coming that were really nice. Next, speaking of Wonder Woman $7.99, the Raza foil variant. Raza is an artist I really love. I know my man really loves Raza. He's one that hasn't been talked about with a lot of his variants, but he's done some really. I mean, a few of his have hit the list, but he doesn't get talked about like some of the others. And I think this is a gorgeous one. This foil one probably is going for, this is limited to 1,000, going for 40 to 50. At 40 to 50 for a limit to 1,000, I actually think this one might end up being worth it. I could be wrong on this because it's just $7.99. There's nothing, and typically these DC foils haven't always held very well, but like when they've been second prints or 1/100s, and limited to 1,000 at 40 to 50, that feels like it's a book that potentially, and looking at this cover, it feels like one that has potential to be worth it. I don't think it's straight cash. I don't think it's going up, but I could see it staying in this range. Yeah, sweet cover. I really likes it. Gordon likes it. Like I feel like there's going to be enough of that that's going to keep it in this range. I don't know. I haven't actually seen it in person. I've just seen like this image, so I don't know. I do. That always does take it down. It does, but like at 40, I feel like that. I'm with Jay's with me. I feel like that's about right. Like if it was pushing like 70, 80, I would say too high. But at 40, 50, I feel like we're okay. Thanks, Skinny. I know you're talking about the cover, not me. But next, we got Momoko. And oh my gosh, is this an ugly Momoko cover? Silk #2, the second print, Peach Momoko 1/25. Woof, that is a terrible cover. I do not like this cover at all. Momoko's always hit and miss for me. This is a second print 1/25, which, being a second print of Silk #2, probably means there's not a ton of these out here. Way more limited probably than your typical 1/25. But even saying that, it's going 50 to 75, so between double and triple. And if you just follow the rules, double to triple means it's going to end up between ratio and double. Like 95% of the time, it's going to end up between ratio and double, which makes it a trap. It just does. And yeah, like somebody said that it's Tinkerbell, but like if you look at the high quality image and you zoom in, it just looks like a generic fairy. It doesn't actually look like Tinkerbell when you get closer. Yeah, hate this cover. Hard pass on that Silk. No mo. Yeah. Now, do I have that wrong? Oh, it is #1. I wrote it down wrong. You're correct. I said #2. Okay, so that I must have wrote it down wrong when I was messing with it, like in my notes. Thank you for catching that. Still doesn't change my opinion in terms of, it just means there's more of them, which makes it even more likely that it's going to be a trap. So yeah, I apologize. In my notes I wrote down 2. So yeah, we're definitely going with trap there. Thank you, Rand Man, for catching me on that one. She's done worse. No, like I like Silk a lot too, but not that cover. All right, next. Void Rivals, the 1 in 100 on the list for the second week in a row. Last week we talked about this. It was a $180, $200 book. I said it had a chance to potentially be worth it, but was probably an I'll be back. This is the Warren Johnson 1 in 100 because it's kicking off a new universe and that kind of thing. That it had a chance to hold that, but I would probably be back. This week we're looking at a second week peak, which is at $250. So it jumped another $50, 50 to $70. Now it's definitely an I'll be back if not a trap. We've talked about this a bunch of times. Always avoid the second week peak. If a book is hot one week and then it jumps even further in the week 2, do not keep chasing it. Do not. It may not. It may not go all the way back to the week 1 value, but it will not hold that second week value for sure. Hey, read your comics. Yeah. I agree. Next, The Sickness. So 2 weeks ago, this The Sickness was on our list. Last week, a variant was on our list. This week, this is back on our list. 2 weeks ago, this was 10 to 15. Now it's 15 to 25. Kind of a hot new indie. It's got a bunch of buzz. And I will stand by what I said then. It's borderline trap at this point. I think it's an I'll be back. It's just so hard for any indie. So we talked about Something Is Killing Children. That is absolutely an exception and not a rule. You should never anticipate a book being that. If it does, bonus if you happen to get it. But like 99% of the time on indies, this initial buzz, even if it lasts for a week, a month, 2 months, doesn't last, and you're better off just being patient. Yeah, it's 1 in 100 or worse, you know. No, it's the same amount of crap. I think it's just you. There's a lot of crap on these. Expect Media. It was a tough week. Yeah. This is not a bad idea. Sickness is not a bad idea, is it? I thought it was. It would definitely be worse, but if it. Yeah, I totally get that. Oh, that kills it. It's absolutely a trap then. That kills it. If it's not coming out again until December, no. Yeah, I didn't know that. That kind of slow burn, that will not sustain. Okay, it's imminent. I thought, okay, that's what I thought. I think he's just saying not bad idea, just a bad idea to chase it. Got it. All right, next. But yeah, that's absolutely a trap if it's not coming out again until December. Yeah, there's no way it sustains prices. I don't care how low it is. and yeah. When did I put Sickness? We're changing that. I'm calling that from all the way back to a trap. Gotta change my notes here for 6 months. All right, next we got Hulk Annual #1. So I guess there's a preview story, a backup story in this that is the first appearance of the Eldest, who's playing a role in this new Hulk run that just started. 5 to 15. So that's pretty cheap for a first appearance of any character. I mean, if you can get the first appearance of almost any character for double ratio, which would be the median, the $10 average here, then you're not doing too bad. I mean, just in general. But do we really think this is? I mean, if this takes off, I guess but I would just be like, find a deal. If you buy it now, you're probably not doing terrible, but I wouldn't be in too big of a hurry. I think you'll probably find a deal. And the Eldest. That's many. Preview prequel of a new number one, a new age. Well, yeah, it's a prequel to the new number. It's a preview / prequel. Yeah, that's in the back of this. So, next we got. All right, I am just gonna. She-Hulk number 3 from 2004. The first appearance of Bailey Briggs, who, if you're paying attention, is the name of the new Spider-Boy. So people are jumping on this book. This book is literally going for $20 to $50. There were sales 40, 50. Most of the sales are 20, 30-ish, but there's $40 and $50 sales mixed in there. Because Bailey Briggs appears in this book. In this book, he's a middle-aged man who dies in the comics and becomes a ghost short-lived and then disappears from the comics. And it just happens to be the same name as the new Spider-Boy. I think Dan Slott forgot to use the name. I think it's the most. Now, maybe they try to tie it back that this kid is somehow related to this original one. But I think what happened is Dan Slott forgot he'd used the name, had the name in the back of his head. He used it. He's like, oh, that'd be a good name for this new Spider-Boy character. And Marvel editorial didn't catch that they'd already used that name on a character before. But there's no way that this is that kid. This is stupidest. I mean, really? Come on. Come on. You're going to pay $40 to $50 for this book? This is an absolute dumpster fire if I've ever seen one. Yes, bring it. The old dude in comic and die. Yeah. To be or not to be. Oh, it's a dumpster fire. Like, good grief. I wouldn't argue with that. It is a nice, it's a good She-Hulk cover on here. It's so stupid. Too late. People have been buying. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of sales on eBay of $20 to $50. Lots of sales. Now, Tom listed a 9.8 sale, but it was before the hype started. It was a couple weeks ago, so it doesn't really matter. That doesn't affect. Yeah. He does look a lot like Wally West. I knew who you meant. Hey, don't believe the hype, for sure. All right. Let's keep going. Now, this one is weird to me. And Ruins number 1. So this is back in the 90s. Marvel gave Warren Ellis the keys to do an alternate Marvel universe, do what he wanted. And he did some crazy crap and was dark, and it was this. So apparently, the internet, all these Gen Z and millennials who weren't around in the 90s, mostly Gen Z, I guess, and maybe younger millennials, discovered this existed this week or last week. And it's been going around the YouTubes and everything else. It's like, oh, look at this crazy stuff that Marvel did. And suddenly, this book is going for $25 to $75 raw. They're going crazy for this. A book that's been in dollar bins for ever. Like, you can give this book away. This is a dumpster fire. As soon as all the, we just discovered this book exists, dies down, this book is going right back to what it is. It's like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad read. What I'm saying is there's this little bit of internet hype is not enough to sustain it at these kind of crazy prices. And maybe it's no longer a $1 book. Maybe it's a $10 book going forward, but it's not going to be a $75 book. Yeah. Hey, Matthew. Yeah. No. It's more graphic than the dumpster fire. Well, I wish I could, I was talented enough. I should probably get to the the GIF one. Figure out how to make the GIF one play where like the dumpster goes floating by. That's what I should probably do. But yeah, about right. maybe. All right, we're gonna keep moving. We still got several books to talk about. You guys know why this is on the list. Nostalgia. This is 100% nostalgia. Flash movie came out. It's done poorly. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't. I started to go. I thought about going today. I didn't. I just have no motivation. But people have been buying this book. Raw copies are still only averaging like $12, but 9.8 went for almost 300. And this is absolutely an I'll be back. And honestly, on the 9.8 side, it's probably a trap. But on the Raw side, it's an I'll be back. Once the movie goes away, and it's going away rapidly, all the nostalgia for this dies. I mean, there's always going to be some nostalgia, but like enough to drive sales in any kind of numbers dies. So, yeah, it's going to be dead next week. I've heard several people say they really enjoyed it, but it has not performed. It has not performed well. The consensus is against you, or actually, I haven't heard the reviews be that bad. Just people aren't going. Kind of like me. I was never motivated to go, and I haven't. Next, Wolverine Origins, number 10, first appearance of Dakin, or Dakin, or Duncan, or whatever. I've always said it Dakin. And yeah, rumors that he's going to be an antagonist in Deadpool 3 are out there. So that's causing this book to jump. Raw copies 50, 9.8, 350, 340, I guess. This is another one. Rumors. And until we get confirmation, it'll slowly drift back to where it's always been. This is what happens. It's just the way it works. So yeah, come back later for sure. Hit the thumbs up. There you go. And really low. Wow, I've never heard you talk about it, but yeah. Dunkin' Donuts. Wolverine does have a lot of kids. He definitely got a lot of kids. Next, Secret Invasion number 1. Hitting the list because the Secret Invasion show dropped this week. And the Secret Invasion show only the only thing it has in common with this comic book is scrolls and the title. I mean, it's really not similar at all. But this is the first issue of the series. So $20 raw sales, 9.8 up to 170. And that is the show isn't exactly getting rave reviews yet, and it doesn't really even reflect this storyline. And yeah, once the show's gone, this will be back down to where it belongs. The 3-claw variant has always been crazy. Oh, I guess that's right. It is Dakin. Yeah, it's Dakin because it's 2K. Mm-hmm. You're right. I spelled that wrong when I was doing it. Anyway, I thought it was okay. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully it picks up some steam. Yeah. I talked about last night, my thoughts on the first episode last night on whatever report. They did because it's not related. Because it's not the same story. So there was no point in them reading it. Next, we got Meet the Skrulls, number 1, first appearance of Gaia, who is it is confirmed at this point. Emilia Clarke's character is Gaia. So it appears first here in this book. $8, 9.8, only doing 80 to 100. It was up 200 when we first got confirmation that she was going to be this character. My guess is we'll get a little bit of a bump over the next couple of weeks as the show builds, hopefully, and gets better. And yeah, it is okay. You guys are confusing me. 1K. I get. All right. I thought 1K, but then he did that, and I was like, "Am I wrong?" So, yeah. I mean, it was slow. The first episode was slow. But this book, come back. We've done this so many times with Marvel shows. Even with this book not even doing that well as the show is coming out, that tells you all you need to know about the sustainability of this book. Really. Yeah. There you go. Spiderman She-Hulk 3. Well, right now, sell. All right. Last 3 books. Spectacular Spider-Man number 116. First appearance of the Foreigner. Confirmation that the Foreigner is going to be in Craven. Raw copies $40, 9.8230. Here's the deal with this. And this has been a consistent pattern. So for this book and the next 2 books to remember. Now the next 2 books are giant books, but the peaks lately for all of these Marvel stuff, everything else, even for the Sony Spider movies, the peak at the trailer has been higher even than the peak at the movie release. So now Foreigner wasn't in the trailer, but yeah, like the movie itself isn't going as high lately as the trailer peaks. So I would definitely put this as an I'll be back, if not a trap, on the Foreigner. We'll see what kind of role he plays, but probably not a huge one. Foreigner, yeah. Hey Kenneth, what's going on? Yeah, I was not impressed by the trailer. It felt a lot like the Morbius trailer. Yeah. So anyway, this is definitely an I'll be back. I have no faith in Sony, and plus, like I said, the trailer peaks have been higher than the movie peaks. I don't know. I don't think this movie's gonna be good. Next up, ASM 41, which is obviously, before we dig into any of the details, long term is obviously this. Great book. We saw a glimpse of that there's going to be a version of the Rhino in the Craven movie who apparently transforms into an actual Rhino thing. 6.5 hitting 1100, 3.5, 375. This is still, while long-term, Straight Cast is still an I'll be back book, shorter term. You get these ebbs and flows, even in books like this, and the book is too high at the moment and will come back down after the movie comes and goes. For a little bit. Not a lot, but it will. Probably. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. You're not wrong, TJ. You're not wrong. And this is a great book. And legitimately, if you buy in at current prices, 5 years from now, you're going to be fine. But I think in the shorter term that you could probably, you put this as an I'll be back, you could probably do a little better than you can do right now. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. I don't think you'll even have to wait a year. It's actually like several of these within like 3 months. Sometimes they start to bounce back a year later because it gets back on track to just like, hey, people are like, oh, this is undervalued. Like a lot of these, when the movie flops, it's that 3 to 6 to 8 month period. It's really when it's low. Yep. This is standard. Last book, first appearance of Craven, ASM 15. This book, here's the deal. This book has jumped and went crazy since they announced this movie. It's continued to it came down from the crazy 2021 heights a little bit already. This is bouncing it back up a little bit. 4.5 for 1,000, 2.5 for 760. Here's the deal. When this movie flops, and even if it doesn't flop, that 6 month to a year that we just talked about, or 6 to 8 months, 3 to 8 a year, 3 months to a year, after this movie comes out, particularly if it does poorly, will be the best time to buy this book at any point in the last, since they first started rumors about a Craven movie, till the end of time. Because it will drop artificially lower than it should when people are turned off by the movie. And then slowly, once you get past a year or so out, it'll start to recover, and then eventually it'll get back on the trajectory it should be long term. So yeah, if this is a book that you really want and you haven't ever gotten, 6 months to a year after the movie comes out, maybe even 3 months to a year after the movie comes out, is when you should be looking for it. Once you get past a year, it starts going. People have forgotten about the movie enough that it actually gets back on its regular trajectory. But yeah. No. I think, I don't know about right now, but like after the movie, you'll be able to get it. The externals dip, yeah. All right, that's it. That's the list. Those are the books. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me on a Sunday evening. We're right at our little 40 minutes, usually 40, 45 minutes we do this. I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here. And I will hope you have a good week. And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody. Bye.